Hello and welcome to the History of Babylon 5. Today's episode is the History of Jakar, Part 4, The Red Knight. And here we go. Jakar spent the next several weeks confined to his own cell. His only visitor during this time was Mr. Garibaldi, who marveled at how peaceful Jakar seemed. Jakar explained that in confinement, he could not hide from himself. He spent his days meditating, thinking, and even singing, drawing numerous complaints from those who could hear. He also began writing his thoughts down in a book, which would eventually be known as the Book of Jakar. He first thought he could have it finished by the time he was released. When the Earth Alliance declares martial law, Jakar is released early due to the chaos. He finds Talon has been keeping vigil outside his quarters since his imprisonment began. Jakar explains the revelation he has had, how the Narns must be willing to sacrifice themselves by the millions if necessary in order to save the universe itself. He also explains that the key to this is Babylon 5, and it must be protected. He appeals to the Narn community for help, and they agree to follow and do whatever he asks. When the command staff is forced to lock up roughly half its security personnel who are operating through Night Watch, Jakar offers the Narns living on the station as replacement security officers. Sheridan accepts the offer. Jakar then insists on being brought in on the new alliance he knows is being formed, and Sheridan agrees to do so as soon as he is able. That event is delayed, however, when Babylon 5 is forced to declare independence from the Earth Alliance, when President Morgan Clark dissolves the Senate and orders the bombing of civilian targets on Mars. At the same time, half of the League of Non-Aligned Worlds has gone to war with the other half. A full battle occurs at Babylon 5. The station is only saved when Ambassador Delenn returns on board the White Star, with 4 Charlene-class Minbari warships right behind her. Later, Jakar was eager to prove the value of his fellow Narns in their new position. When approached by Delenn and asked to be part of the Minbari rebirth ceremony, he declines, stating that he is far too busy with his new responsibilities. While dedicated to the new war, Jakar did not forget the Centauri occupation. He kept arranging for messages to be smuggled off of Narn from families of the Narn on board the station. While picking up one of these deliveries, he stumbled across a strange human claiming to be King Arthur, who at the time was confronting an entire gang of thugs who were terrorizing innocent people in Down Below. Jakar joined Arthur, and they successfully routed the gang. Afterwards, they went to a tavern to drink heavily, celebrating their victory against the ruffians who would prey on the weak. They also discussed their respective histories, with Arthur telling Jakar the story of the Battle of Camelin. King Arthur then knights the Narn as Sir Jakar, the Red Knight, just before Jakar passes out from too much drink. After Arthur remembers his true self, David McIntyre, Jakar offers him a place of honor in the Narn resistance. He arranges for McIntyre to reach Narn, seeing him off from the docking bay. And we should be right back after this. Many weeks would pass without Sheridan making good on his promise, frustrating Jakar. Sheridan, busy with the mission off station, approached Delenn to discuss bringing Jakar in. She then insisted on telling Jakar the whole truth herself. Delenn invites Jakar over to her quarters and explains everything to him. The history of the First Shadow War, the prophecies regarding their return, and the knowledge she, Kosh, and the Grey Council had about their return, even as the Shadows were assisting the Centauri during the war. She explains that they spoke out when Jakar spoke out with his warnings. The only thing that would have changed is that the Shadows would have become aware of their knowledge, tipping their hand, and Narn would have been obliterated entirely rather than decimated, and that billions more across the galaxy would have died. Jakar is devastated to hear that Delenn knew this all along. He explains that had he learned what she had just told him about the bombing of Narn, he would have surely killed her. He recalls the words from his dream again, and realizes that the words about sacrifice pertain to the past as well as the future. Jakar concedes that nothing would be different, and Delin remarks on how changed Jakar has been. She tells him that she hopes that he will one day forgive her, and he admits it will not be soon. Later, Delin brings Jakar formally into the new War Council, showing him the new war room recently built on the station. She promises that there will be no more distrust between them. That same night, Mr. Garibaldi calls Jakar, Delin, Sheridan, and Ivanova into the war room, explaining that he has uncovered a crucial key to the victory in the upcoming conflict. He asks Jakar to read from the Book of Jaquan, which speaks of Jaquan and the last of the Narn telepaths driving the shadows off Narn during the First Shadow War. The Council realizes the telepaths may be the Shadow's one Achilles heel. Even as they do, however, a report comes in that Shadows are attacking races openly. The Second Shadow War has fully begun. Needing ships to aid in the defense of the station, Sheridan and Jakar invite the Jatak to come to the station. Jakar meets with Nakal and discusses postponing an open strike against the Centauri. When Sheridan seeks to test their theory regarding the Shadow's vulnerability to telepathy, Jakar asks Nakal to have the Jatak provide escort to the White Star. Nakal refuses, feeling it is surely a suicide mission and not wishing to risk one of the few Narn vessels still functioning. After Sheridan embarks on the mission, Garibaldi comes to Jakar while he sleeps, angrily confronting him about not forcing Nakal to go forward. He returns the Book of Jaquan and tells him that the responsibility lies with Jakar. Accepting what Garibaldi has said, Jakar convinces not only Nakal but a host of other League members to mount a small fleet and rescue Sheridan. And we should be right back after this. Having proven telepaths can affect the Shadows, the newly christened Army of Light begins taking telepath volunteers, assigning them to all the races in the Alliance, to help fight back against the Shadows, now battling every race across known space. Jakar offers to send one Narn bodyguard along to protect the telepaths. Londo Mollari approaches Jakar at this time, offering him a chance for revenge. He provides him with evidence that Antano Refa was the one who orchestrated the bombardment of Narn, established death camps and genetic cleansing programs, and other means that have resulted in the deaths of millions of Narns. Mollari explains that Refa is a mutual enemy and wants Jakar's help in killing Refa. As an added incentive, he arranges 2,000 Narns currently in custody to be freed. The plan involves trapping Refa by having it appear Jakar has returned to Narn to rescue Natath, still missing ever since the bombings. Jakar arranges through Mr. Garibaldi to have himself smuggled onto the planet by the Rangers. He is dismayed when he sees how much his world has changed. Meeting up with a dozen members of the Narn Resistance, he leads them into the tunnels beneath the ruins of the old Capitol building. They meet Refa and a cadre of guards. Refa learns what has happened when Jakar plays a message from Mollari. The guards, loyal to Mollari, leave. Jakar places a data crystal in Refa's pocket and asks that his face be left intact so it can be identified. Refa tries to flee but is seized and beaten to death by the other Narn. Jakar watches only for a moment before walking away. He leaves the planet immediately afterwards. Once back on Babylon 5, Jakar arranges for a shipment of 500,000 megaton nuclear bombs to be delivered by the game in order to be used against the Shadows. A few days later, after Sheridan leaves for Zahadum itself, an armada of Shadow vessels arrive on the station. Even as they do, Jakar is checking on the nuclear devices and discovers 2 are missing. He rushes to CNC to inform Commander Ivanova, who contemplates detonating them, even if it means taking them out along with the enemy. However, the Shadows withdraw mysteriously without attacking. Jakar and Ivanova both realize it likely means Sheridan is dead. Hey, thank you for watching the history of Babylon 5. Special thanks to the Babylon Project and all contributors for all information you heard today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. If you have, thank you. And have a great day. Bye-bye.